come here, you. Hey,
What?
say $5,000.
Why?
God, why not $1 million?
Well, you know what? Even if we can't sell them right away, we can use them.
Behind the loud bids and wild personalities of Storage Wars was a much darker reality. The thrill of hidden treasures and the dream of instant riches kept viewers glued to their screens, but fame came with a painful cost. Some stars found fortune, while others faced scandals, heartbreak, or even tragic death. Which cast members didn't survive the spotlight? And what really happened after the cameras stopped rolling? Join us as we reveal the Storage Wars stars who sadly passed away. The tragic fall of Rico Suave. Mark Bolello was hard to miss. When he joined Storage Wars in seasons 2 through 4, he stood out instantly. At every storage auction, he walked in looking like he owned the entire place, carrying a purse full of cash. He wore expensive outfits and accessories that fit perfectly and told the world he was successful. His confidence was easy to see, and people noticed. But that confidence was all a facade that cost him his life. The other buyers sometimes rolled their eyes at his dramatic moves, but he brought excitement to every auction. Viewers either loved him or disliked him, but nobody ignored him. Soon, he earned the nickname Rico Suave because of his smooth presentation tactics. He knew that looking successful made people believe he was successful, and in his world, image was everything. His company, Bolello Incorporated, moved merchandise fast. Items bought at storage auctions were quickly processed and sold, and customers rushed into his retail store searching for good deals. Mark knew how to talk to people, and most importantly, how to close a sale. He had the kind of personality that made him magnetic. When Storage Wars came calling, he seemed like the perfect fit. But what people saw on TV was only the surface. Behind the attractive personality, Mark was battling a serious drug problem. For years, he had been using methamphetamine. And by the time Storage Wars pushed him into the spotlight, the addiction had full control of his life. The fame only made things worse. The show displayed his imperfections and every embarrassing moment for millions of people to each. This made the tension tighten around him. The more the public judged him, the deeper his shame grew. He tried to keep his business running and his addiction hidden, but the struggle became overwhelming, creating an isolation that he could no longer escape. By early 2013, his life was breaking apart. He was arrested for meth possession, posted bail within hours, walked out of jail, and tried to act like everything was fine. But he was falling apart inside. He visited his fiancée shortly after the arrest and told her he felt devastated and scared. He sounded lost, but nobody knew how desperate he truly was. 2 days later, his girlfriend found him in his car, inside the closed garage at his auction house. The engine was still running. Carbon monoxide filled the air and his lungs. Mark Bolello died at 40 years old, alone in a parked vehicle. Officials later ruled the death as self-harm. Fans were shocked, and cast members were heartbroken. However, people were also affected at the aftermath of his death, including those who worked for him at the time. Mark Bolello's company wasn't massive, but it supported a dozen full-time employees. Warehouse staff sorted through storage units. Retail clerks helped customers on the floor. Drivers moved loads across town, and office workers handled the accounts. None of them were seeking fame. They were just ordinary people trying to make a living and provide for their families. Then, suddenly, Mark was gone. That morning, 12 employees arrived expecting a typical day of work. Instead, they were met with devastating news that led to the end of a life they had grown accustomed to. By midday, it became clear. The business was permanently closed since there was no one to take over. 12 families lost their primary source of income in an instant. Rent and mortgage payments still loomed, groceries had to be bought, and bills continued to pile up. The specialized skills they had honed over years in storage auctions and resale work didn't easily transfer elsewhere, leaving them struggling to find new employment quickly. The closure left another empty space in a fading strip mall. The man who once moved with so much confidence had been quietly drowning in pain the entire time. People remembered his big personality, but those closest to him remembered something else. A man who desperately wanted to succeed, but who could not escape the addiction pulling him down. But Mark's death was only the first blow in the chain of losses that cast a long shadow over the Storage Wars family. The next death was one no one saw coming.
Hey, there you are. Now.
Again, and action.
Hey, there you are. Now.
Nope. It's the same way you did it before. Hey, there you are. Keep it always the same. Action.
The heart and soul of Storage Wars lost to cancer. Gunter Nezhoda was a familiar face on Storage Wars, who appeared as a recurring buyer between 2015 and 2019. With his easygoing personality and easy smile, he quickly became a fan favorite. Unlike some of the louder cast members, Gunter stood out for his calm demeanor and positive attitude, which made him a favorite not only with viewers, but also with his fellow buyers. Fans especially loved watching him team up with his son, Rene Nezhoda, as the two went through auctions together. Their dynamic was heartwarming, a father teaching his son to see treasures where others saw trash. Their shop, Bargain Hunter Thrift Store in Poway, California, drew customers from miles away, eager to browse through the gems the duo had discovered. Gunter's expertise wasn't something that appeared overnight. He spent decades hustling through storage yards across California, honing a talent that many would call instinct or a sixth sense. While others rifled through piles of items, Gunter could spot hidden value instantly. His experience gave him an edge at auctions, and when Rene joined him, the father-son team became unstoppable. Viewers enjoyed watching them work together, combining skill and intuition. His appearances on Storage Wars were never constant, but whenever he showed up, he added warmth to the program. Fans noticed when his presence began to dwindle, assuming he might be focusing on other aspects of his life. Off-camera, he continued to manage his business, ensuring that Bargain Hunter Thrift Store remained a place where anyone could find hidden gems. Gunter's life seemed full, successful, active, and surrounded by family until an unexpected health crisis struck. In March 2023, Gunter began feeling unusually weak and short of breath. At first, he brushed it off, attributing it to years of hard work in storage auctions and time spent on set. But the symptoms worsened. Persistent fatigue and noticeable weight loss made it clear something was seriously wrong. Finally, after seeking medical attention, Gunter received devastating news. He had stage 4 lung cancer. The disease had spread aggressively, leaving limited treatment options and precious little time. Despite his determination and strong work ethic, his condition deteriorated rapidly over the following weeks. Gunter Nezhoda passed away peacefully in March 2023 at the age of 67, surrounded by family. His son Rene revealed that he had been quietly battling cancer for about 6 months before his death. The news shocked fans who had always admired the genuine kindness he brought to both the auctions and the show. But what happens when the danger isn't illness, but a sudden, life-threatening accident? From Storage Wars to surviving a devastating crash. Brandon Sheets became familiar to fans as the adventurous son of Daryl Sheets, joining his father on Storage Wars as they hunted for treasures hidden in abandoned storage units. Together, they created memorable moments on the show, showcasing both Brandon's youthful energy and his father's seasoned auction instincts. But in 2017, Brandon's time on the series abruptly ended when he was let go due to budget cuts. While Daryl remained on the show, Brandon was left to navigate life outside the cameras and explore new career paths. After leaving the show, Brandon pursued a variety of opportunities, including real estate, but his path eventually led him to driving for UPS. It was in this role that he faced a life-altering event. In 2024, Brandon shared a harrowing story on Instagram about a severe car accident he survived while on duty. In his post, he described the incident in detail, explaining that he had been asleep in the sleeper berth of a UPS semi-truck when his co-driver, filling in for his usual partner, collided with another truck at around 70 miles per hour. The impact was sudden and violent. Brandon described the moment as feeling like a bomb going off, waking up to chaos and injuries. Emergency responders rushed him to a hospital in Texas before he was transported back home to Arizona. Thankfully, despite the terrifying crash, Brandon only sustained minor physical injuries. However, the experience left a lasting impression, highlighting both the dangers of long-haul trucking and the vulnerabilities of employees in such high-risk jobs. Brandon's Instagram post also revealed his frustration with UPS after the crash. Despite surviving the terrifying accident, he did not receive workers' compensation or reimbursement for the damaged belongings that were in the truck at the time. But Brandon wasn't the only one who saw his life flash before his eyes in that way. Bari Weiss also faced a similar ordeal. He was one of the most memorable faces on Storage Wars. From the very start, fans loved his cool style, love for antiques, and fun attitude. He wasn't always chasing the biggest profit like the others. Instead, he enjoyed the thrill of discovering hidden treasures and sharing stories about them. After 4 exciting seasons, Bari left the show in 2013 while it was still popular, joking that he wanted to go back to being a world-class slacker. Not long after, in 2014, he got his own spin-off called Bari's Treasure, but it lasted only 1 season. Even though fans hoped to see him return, Bari stayed out of the spotlight for a while. In 2019, his life changed when he was involved in a very serious motorcycle accident in Los Angeles. He suffered major injuries to his chest and legs, spent 2 months in the ICU, and went through several surgeries. Recovery became his main focus. What hardly got mentioned, though, was that his girlfriend was right there with him on that bike. They'd been together for 30 years, always riding, always chasing that shared love of open roads and a little danger. That car that pulled out without looking didn't just hit Bari, it hit both of them. The crash threw them into the air. Bari was in bad shape, 9 hours of surgery, a week-long coma, and broken bones everywhere. But she wasn't spared either. Her back was broken, her spine damaged. She went through months of treatment and therapy, and even now, 3 years later, she's still in pain, still working through rehab, and still trying to move the way she used to. While Bari's medical crisis dominated news coverage and public attention, her recovery was slower and less visible. The physical pain and emotional strain put enormous pressure on their relationship, which ultimately led to their separation. They both lost a lot that day. Bari healed enough to move forward, at least in public, while his ex-girlfriend is still dealing with the painful aftermath, still fighting to walk without hurting. Against the odds, Bari eventually made a small comeback to Storage Wars in seasons 14 and 15, reminding fans why they loved him. However, he did not appear in season 16 in 2025, and it's unclear if he will return again. With his future on the show uncertain, what happens when the spotlight shifts to other auctioneers facing life's toughest battles? Auctioneers who faced life's harshest trials. Dan and Laura Dotson have been household names for fans of Storage Wars, the energetic auctioneers who set the pace for storage auctions across America. Together, they brought energy to every event, ensuring bidders stayed engaged and auctions ran smoothly. But behind the cameras, their lives were marked by moments of terror and near-tragic moments that tested the strength of their bond as a family. Dan Dotson's life took a terrifying turn in 2014 when he woke up with double vision, a warning sign that something was seriously wrong. Moments later, he collapsed. Laura, quick thinking and composed under pressure, performed CPR on her husband, a move doctors later credited with saving his life. Dan was rushed to the hospital, where emergency surgery was required. The incident forced him to make life-altering changes, including giving up a 40-year smoking habit. What seemed like a recovery from a personal health scare was only the beginning of the Dotsons' trials. Fast forward to 2020, and tragedy struck the family again, this time involving their son, Garrett Dotson. At 22, Garrett was visiting his significant other in Arizona when a drive-by shooting left him critically injured. The bullet ruptured his vena cava, causing internal bleeding, and the situation was life-threatening. According to Laura, Garrett himself called 911, and first responders acted quickly. The paramedics' efforts stabilized him just long enough to airlift him to Las Vegas, where doctors performed emergency surgery. Laura recounted that the trauma team worked tirelessly, with one doctor physically supporting and massaging Garrett's heart during the flight. The operation in Las Vegas was successful, but Garrett faced a long road to recovery. He suffered a fractured spine and needed extensive rehabilitation to regain mobility and strength. Dan described the family's relief, saying, "A lot of people came together to save our son, and we're just so happy. This could have been a much different outcome." The shooter, Garrett Wilder, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault, disorderly conduct with a weapon, and other related crimes, ensuring justice was pursued for the harrowing incident. With justice served in Garrett Wilder's case, it's clear some battles end in the courtroom. But what about the challenges that unfold away from the public eye, like those faced by longtime Storage Wars star Daryl Sheets? Daryl Sheets' journey through health challenges. Famously called the Gambler, Daryl became well known for his risk-taking attitude. Fans loved his enthusiasm and the way he transformed abandoned storage units into significant finds. He was a mainstay on the show through its early years, often appearing alongside his son, Brandon. While he is not currently listed as part of the official cast, Sheets retired from the show after season 12. Fans were excited when he returned for season 13 in 2021 after the show took a brief hiatus, and he continued appearing as a buyer in seasons 14 and 15 as well. His presence reminded viewers why he had become one of the most beloved auction hunters on the series. Over the years, there have been false reports claiming that Sheets had passed away, but his active social media presence proves that he is alive and well. In 2023, he opened his own business, Show Me Your Junk, in Havasu, Arizona, continuing his work in the auction and resale industry. Sheets has faced significant health challenges, particularly in 2019. In March of that year, he revealed that he had been hospitalized after being sick for 3 months and experiencing a mild heart attack. He also shared that he was dealing with congestive heart failure and a serious lung issue. Following surgery, he provided an update a month later. Doctors reported that his heart function had improved significantly to 40%, and he was finally able to remove his defibrillator vest. Although his heart was not fully healed, Sheets remained positive, determined, and focused on his recovery. In his personal life, Daryl has a son, Brandon, and a daughter, Tiffany. He was engaged to Romney Snyder at the time of his health struggles, but by the end of 2019, he had entered a new relationship with Patty Rich. His current relationship status is not clear, but he continues to post loving messages to his ex-wife, Kimber Werfel, on social media. The two reportedly divorced in 2016. In December 2023, for example, he publicly wished Kimber a happy birthday with a heartfelt message showing that they maintain a respectful and caring connection. During his time on Storage Wars, Sheets also made headlines for a noticeable weight loss transformation. He credited the change to Nutrisystem, explaining that his joints and body had begun to hurt, and that he was tired of exercising without seeing results. He also recognized the need to make better choices about his diet while on the show, moving away from fast food and unhealthy habits. Nutrisystem provided him a manageable solution that fit his busy lifestyle, helping him improve his overall health while continuing to work in the fast-paced world of auctions. While Daryl focused on improving his health and keeping his auction business running, not every Storage Wars star was so lucky. What happens when fame and controversy collide with real-life consequences? From Storage Wars villain to legal battles and family fallout, Dave Hester became one of the most recognizable figures on Storage Wars by embracing the role of the villain. His loud, confident "yup" could silence a room and signal that he was about to drive the price so high that other bidders wouldn't make a profit. He loved being the antagonist, and producers loved having someone who stirred drama and tension on screen. His personality and approach made him unforgettable to fans, but his fame came with unexpected consequences, one he did not see coming. In 2012, everything changed drastically for Dave. He filed a lawsuit against A&E and the production company that produced Storage Wars, and the claims made headlines across reality TV. He alleged that the show was staged, that producers planted expensive items in lockers, and that some cast members knew what was inside storage units before the auctions began. According to Dave, his complaints about the show's authenticity led to his firing. The legal battle that followed was long, complicated, and expensive. Both sides hired multiple attorneys, and the case dragged on for months with depositions, filings, and constant delays. While the lawsuit continued, Dave's auction business began to crumble. Without the exposure from television, his sales dropped sharply, but expenses did not. The IRS audited his finances, business partners distanced themselves, and some even filed lawsuits for unpaid debts. Employees left as operations slowed and eventually shut down. When the lawsuit finally settled, the details were kept private, but insiders said the financial payout was small and far from enough to cover the losses he had endured. To survive, Dave returned to smaller-scale online sales, but his business empire was gone. The legal battles destroyed not only his company, but also his reputation, leaving him in a position far below the fame he had once enjoyed. The impact of these events reached beyond balance sheets and legal documents. It also affected his family, particularly his son, Dave Hester Jr. Growing up, Dave Jr. had been immersed in the world of storage auctions. He learned the business from the ground up, sorting through boxes, tagging inventory, and understanding what would sell. Everyone expected that he would eventually take over the family business and carry on the Hester name in auctions. However, fame changed the family dynamic. Once Storage Wars aired, Dave became a public figure, and the lawsuits only increased scrutiny. Former partners and employees shared their stories, and online forums were filled with discussions about the show and its controversies. Instead of admiration, the Hester name became associated with legal battles and public drama. For his son, Dave Jr., this attention became increasingly difficult and became affecting his mental health. At school, classmates, teachers, and even parents of friends would make insensitive comment or ask questions about the show and the lawsuit. The fame that had once seemed exciting turned into a constant reminder of controversy. He felt trapped by his father's public image and struggled to define his own identity. Eventually, he chose to step away completely. He changed his name on social media, deleted old posts, and avoided any connection to Storage Wars. What had once been a shared family business and a source of pride ended up creating distance between father and son. The business that was meant to bond them, instead, fractured their relationship, leaving Dave Jr. to build a life away from the spotlight and the controversies that had defined his father's career. As one Storage Wars family faced personal fallout behind the cameras, it raises the question: how do other cast members navigate the challenges of fame and complicated relationships? That brings us to the next infamous couple. Brandi Passante and Jared Schultz dramatic split. Brandi Passante and Jared Schultz were a well-known duo on Storage Wars, both for their auction skills and their often tense on-screen relationship. Fans of the show weren't shocked to hear that the pair had broken up years ago, even if the news was kept quiet at first. Their relationship on camera was rarely romantic, and their clashes became part of the show's appeal, making the split unsurprising once it became public. Technically, Brandi and Jared never married. They were partners who shared a business and raised children together. Without a formal marriage, the separation wasn't legally a divorce, but ending their partnership was still complicated. Co-parenting teenagers and running a joint business meant that disentangling their lives required careful planning and cooperation, even without a marriage license. Brandi has consistently described herself as the primary caregiver for their two children, Cameron and Peyton. She continued this role both before and after their 2018 split. While both parents have been private about their children, Brandi confirmed in interviews that she handled most responsibilities, often managing the kids full-time. After news of the separation became public in 2020, she emphasized that much of the parenting was already her responsibility, making the adjustment to single parenthood less dramatic than it might have been otherwise. After the split, Brandi stayed with Storage Wars as a main cast member. She also became active on social media, sharing life as a single mother and supporting her son's film work. Schultz, on the other hand, has not returned to the series since season 13. He was linked to Rochelle Beckman in 2022, but has largely stayed quiet online and kept a low profile following his legal troubles. In addition, Jared faced a misdemeanor domestic violence battery charge in May 2021 related to Brandi. This ended his time on the show, while Brandi carried on alone. Since the split, both Brandi and Jared appear to have moved on with their lives. Brandi shared glimpses of her new relationship in May 2024, posting photos with her boyfriend Clifford Beaver, a realtor. From her posts, it seems that she is happier and more at ease than during her time with Jared on Storage Wars. She seems to have found stability and a supportive partner, allowing her to focus on family and personal life outside of the spotlight. Jared's post-Storage Wars life has been quieter. He is less active on social media, with his last notable Instagram activity in May 2022 when he posted a photo with Rochelle Beckman. The two were rumored to be dating, though neither publicly confirmed a formal relationship. Rochelle had previously shared posts about Jared, hinting at a connection, and expressed that life felt better when appreciated and cared for. Beyond that, Jared has maintained a relatively private lifestyle compared to Brandi's social updates. The separation of Brandi and Jared was messy in personal terms, but did not involve a formal divorce, since they were never legally married. Despite challenges like business and co-parenting responsibilities, they managed to go their separate ways and rebuild their lives independently. Brandi now enjoys a more peaceful, happy life with her new partner, while Jared has taken a lower-profile approach, moving forward quietly. While Brandi and Jared found ways to move on from their complicated past, it raises the question: how did other Storage Wars cast members cope with the pressures and hidden challenges behind the cameras, like those faced by Emily Wares? The hidden cost of Storage Wars fame. Emily Wares was one of the youngest and most energetic auctioneers to appear on Storage Wars. She joined in Season 10 and quickly impressed viewers with her fast-paced auction chant, keen eye for valuable units, and professional demeanor. Unlike some cast members who thrived on drama or confrontation, Emily focused on her craft, bringing fresh energy and dedication to the show. Over her 4 seasons on television, she built a reputation as a talented, enthusiastic auctioneer with a bright personality that stood out among the cast. After leaving Storage Wars, Emily chose to step away from television and return to her family's business, Wares Auctioneering, which she co-runs with her father. Now based in Idaho, she manages the business across several western states, organizing online auctions and handling large-scale events. In addition, she travels nationwide as a contract and benefit auctioneer, helping with fundraising events. Her life outside television is filled with creativity and variety. She is also a musician and leather artist, maintaining a balance between work, art, and personal passions. Emily has explained that Storage Wars was never part of her long-term plan. She viewed it as a fun opportunity and a way to gain experience in the auction world. But after filming, she was happy to return to her family, her business, and the things she loved most. For her, the fame was a brief chapter, but one that reinforced the importance of family, independence, and following her own path. But reality television fame has not been without collateral damage. While Emily returned to a more grounded life, other cast members have faced far more devastating consequences. Nicholas Allen, for instance, appeared on the show only a handful of times. Though not a main cast member, he was recognizable to regular viewers and respected within the auction community. Nicholas understood the business, could identify valuable units quickly, and knew when to bid and when to step back. His careful, professional approach earned him a modest reputation, and for a time, everything seemed stable. That stability ended abruptly when legal issues arose. The charges against Nicholas were serious, the kind that could and did change a life overnight. Prosecutors presented compelling evidence, and the case moved forward with painstaking care. The legal defense required expert lawyers, expensive consultations, and a level of financial support that most families could scarcely afford. Nicholas's mother, 73 at the time, had worked hard her entire life. She had saved, paid off her home, and lived a secure, modest life. Then her son called from jail, and her world changed instantly. She mortgaged the house, emptied her savings, and paid for legal fees and expert witnesses in an attempt to help Nicholas. Despite her sacrifices, it was not enough. Nicholas was convicted, and she lost everything. She now rents a small apartment and works part-time to make ends meet, visiting her son whenever she can afford the gas. For Nicholas and his family, the fleeting fame of appearing on Storage Wars became a painful reminder of how quickly fortunes and stability can vanish. The collapse of careers, the exposure of personal lives, and the financial devastation extended beyond the auction floor, reaching into the homes and communities of those involved. From Emily Ware's intentional retreat to Nicholas Allen's legal nightmare, these stories reveal the hidden costs of reality television. Storage Wars might have been a show that entertained billions of fans. However, it wasn't always fun for the cast members. While Brandy and Jared found ways to move on from their complicated past, it makes you wonder, how do other Storage Wars cast members really handle the pressures of fame? Did the cameras ever hide struggles that fans didn't see? And when the spotlight fades, what kind of personal costs do auctioneers like Emily Wares really pay? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.